So up until this year, I had never done a lyric video before. I did one for Underdog Freestyle, but I thought we can go further into depth into what the lyrics mean. And yeah, you can find Underdog Freestyle on Spotify, Apple Music, and any streaming service. Also, you can find them on apps as well, like Instagram and TikTok. But let's get into it.
I might have been down, but I came right back. I don't slack, you know I make this music thing from scratch.
You know I make this music thing from scratch. It's a play on words. I make this music from nothing, but if you hear closely, there's a little turntable. That was awful, I'm sorry. There's a turntable scratch in there as well, which I just always wanted to have in one of my songs. Growing up listening to Linkin Park, they always had that kind of stuff, and I could do whatever I want. Let's continue.
Wanna play a big game, but I'm broke like Barca. How I know my girl loves me, that's your answer.
If you didn't know, or you just don't like football, Barcelona, the football club, had a debt of 1.2 billion. That meant that they had to get rid of probably the greatest player that ever played football alongside Pelé and Maradona, Lionel Messi, for free. They had to sell a whole host of players. They had to sell part of the stadium naming rights. And they also, for the first time, had a sponsor. Previously having charities, now they have Spotify, which is where you can find this song. And their owner last summer said, we're going to be big players in this transfer market. Everyone knew they were broke, but they still managed to sign a whole host of players for a hell of a lot of money. And then the last bit is just a bit of a joke, like, you know, how I know my girl loves me. That's your answer. Is like, you know, how they say women don't date broke men, or, you know, whatever. So it's true love, isn't it? Because let's move on.
Looking for a W at the end of my view. They say it ain't.
I'm looking for a W at the end of my view. W means win. There's a W at the end of view.
So I love underdog stories, follow for more. I'm trying to replicate Greece in the Euros in 04.
I'm trying to replicate Greece in the Euros in 04. Basically, another football reference, I'm sorry. Portugal hosted the European Championships in 2004. They ended up going all of the way to the final. Another team that managed to go all the way to the final was a little fancy team called Greece. They were the underdogs throughout the entire tournament, and they knocked out some pretty big names. When they got to the final, Portugal were overwhelming favourites, but Greece won the game 1-0. True underdog story of the modern era.
Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson.
Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, but if you didn't know, Mike Tyson was really good at this fighting thing, and Buster Douglas, he was not as good as Mike Tyson. Granted, this might have been a little bit later in Mike Tyson's career, but people still say it was one of the biggest underdog shocks in boxing. So
you might buy some. I'm trying not to Morbius, in other words, flop.
I don't think this one needs to be explained. Morbius just sucked.
I'm trying to hustle like Bo Cruz, roll to the top.
So this one might have gone over your head a little bit, and that's understandable. It's a film on Netflix called Hustle, and it's about this scout who finds a really talented but unknown player in Spain, and he tries to get him in the NBA. And the player is called Bo Cruz, and you know, and the film's called Hustle, and they hustle till they get in the NBA. You get it. You're smart.
Stranger things have happened, man. I live in my beats. Tell Vecna come get me. Rest in peace, Eddie. I hear the clock chime.
I feel like this one is really obvious, but then again, I know that some people might not have watched Stranger Things, so I'll just explain it anyway. So in season 4, we're introduced to the big baddie of them all, Vecna, and he gets into people's minds and he, you know, kills them. That's basically it. And what we learn is if you put music, like a song that someone likes, you know, put headphones and they can hear the song, their mind can lead them to breaking away from Vecna's spell. I probably haven't explained this the best I could, but so yeah, so you know, I live in my beats, tell Vecna come get me, and then rest in peace Eddie. This is major spoiler alert, but Eddie passes away, and like I really liked Eddie.
Find me on the other side.
That little says, you can find me on the other side. Coming soon.
My best. I don't think I have an ego that you have to caress. I don't even have to try to impress. My best.
For that
I don't
one,
think I have.
I feel like it's a bit contrasting. People will say, Junior, it doesn't really make sense, you know, that I don't feel like I have an ego that you have to caress. And then the next line is basically me saying, I don't even have to try to impress, like humility and then like cocky. But I feel like you can be humble and still be very confident in your abilities. And I feel like even if you have that confidence, you can still suffer self-doubt and just you get it and then you're like, but maybe people won't. And I think that's the thing there.
Just to update, I made an oath on the beach that I do what it takes, and at the end of it all, I just see what I made.
So that last bit is basically true. I went on holiday last summer and we stayed by the beach. And every time we went to the beach, I had no service whatsoever. And so I had a lot of time to reflect, and I realized how little music I was releasing and how little content I was creating or engagement, you know, anything. I just wasn't active. And so I did make an oath on the beach. I'm not gonna say what the oath was. The idea is to be more active. So here I am releasing music and posting stuff. Yeah, and at the end of it all, I guess we will all see what I made. And that is the end of the more in-depth lyric deep diving thing. Yeah, I'll catch you on the next video.